Okay. It is 7:48 here in Arizona. I don't know what time it is where you are. But I was available, so I thought tonight might be a good night to try an experiment and see how well doing a live stream would work. So, if you're available and want to jump on to this live stream, maybe we can have a conversation. So, I'm going to get a couple things set up, and then we'll see if anyone tunes in. If not, I've got some things planned, and we can make this useful video while we're at it too. So, if you're interested in jumping on, please do so. We'll see how this goes. I'm checking a bunch of things right now. Whenever I've done live streams in the past, gotta make sure my speed is fast enough. My internet speed, so that it doesn't drop on people. That's really frustrating trying to watch a live stream. It just keeps cutting out. I'm checking my speed right now. Ooh, it just dropped. I'm sorry. Okay, so hi. I'll go ahead and start talking. If you've got questions, I've got the chat open. Please let me know, and if you've got questions, let me know, and we'll get to it. But I am Dr. Jacob Lauritsen. This is my channel, Read, Write, and Cite. And I started it a couple years ago as a way for me to make videos for some online classes that I taught at my community college. So I made a bunch of videos, I posted them, put them out into the world, and then some people started watching, and that was awesome. Right now we have about 1,100 subscribers, which is fantastic for an English channel, I think. But the best part of everything is not that people have seen the videos, but the help that it's been able to be for so many people. I think right now, in the past 2 years, I can check these numbers right now. I've had like over 100,000 views, which means videos are getting out there for people to see. Right now, the most popular video, how to write a critical analysis essay. So when I was thinking, man, what could I talk about tonight other than answering any questions that someone might have, I think I could talk about how to write essays for college. So, figure I can do that tonight. If there's any problems with the live stream, let me know so I can double check to make sure everything's okay. Otherwise, it's just frustrating to watch. Like if there's an echo or I'm not in sync with my audio. Just checking around, make sure everything's looking good. Okay, so there are a lot of things going on right now, depending on where you are in the world. You might be gearing up to start college classes. The college that I teach at, classes start up on Monday. My class that I'll be teaching over there is going to start on Tuesday night. They made a bunch of changes, so if you're taking that class, it's going to be different than it's ever been in the past. But it is so incredibly stressful for students, and I'm constantly surprised by how confused students are by what their teachers are asking them to do. But what that's taught me is there is like this miscommunication between what the teacher's trying to do and what you are getting out of that class. That teacher asks you to do something, you get home, and then you're just like, don't know what to do. Obviously, I can't speak for your teachers. I can only speak for myself, my experience as a teacher, and then do my best to answer your questions without knowing who your teacher is. But I think we've been able to help a lot of people through this channel, and I'm hoping through live streams and some other things like that in the future that we can really build a community where we can be a lot of help. Again, I don't know exactly what your teachers want out of the assignments, but I can always try to explain what I know. So when I explain things, I try to explain the base version of something. So like if we're talking about how to cite a source, I try to talk about the base version of MLA citation. We haven't done much with APA, but maybe in the future we could talk about that, other citation styles. The most popular essay or videos on the channel have been about essays, like how to write a critical analysis essay, a reader response essay, things like that. People have questions, and I think they're just terms. And every single teacher can interpret that differently. So I can only speak very generically about that. But I want to talk a little bit tonight or morning. I don't know if you're on the eastern side of the world, it might be pretty early for you. I had a world clock pulled up so I could I could show you this. Oops. Here we go. So I can show you what time it is across the world. I don't know where you're at. I'm in Arizona, so I'm 7:45 p.m. right now, but East Coast, you're way earlier. London, it is early, but if you go all the way east, yeah. And we have viewers from all over the world. So this has been really cool. Only about half of my views, sometimes even less, come from the United States. So we have people from all over who've got questions about English for their college classes. Okay, so let's talk about getting ready for college semester. First thing, as a teacher, that I want my college students to do when they start a new English class is to really dig into the syllabus. Almost all your teachers are going to do that. It's pretty normal practice. And if they're like me, they're going to be explaining what you need to know, what the reasonable expectations for that class are. On my syllabi, I'm going to explain what the big assignments are. I have different versions. Sometimes I have a really complete version that's basically the whole class in a document. And that, it might give every single assignment in it. When I teach English 102, which is that second level freshman composition class, I've got about a 50-page PDF that I just give them that has the entire class in it. And then we just go from there, which includes all of the specific assignments, what all the essays are, what they have to do, especially the big research paper for that class. For you, if you're just starting a class, you're getting ready for a new semester, pay really close attention to that syllabus. See what your teacher is asking of you, how you're going to be graded, because what I always tell my students is there are two things you can get out of a college class, or any class for that matter. You're going to get a grade. And almost always that is the thing that students are most focused on, because they know that that's the thing that transfers. That's the thing that other people look at. It affects your GPA and all that. But really what I wish we could pay attention to was what we're learning in that class. Because that's the thing you really got to take with you, no matter what other people think. And if you start the class with really clear expectations, what you want to get out of it, then no matter how good that teacher is, you can really go for it. And that's kind of the realization I had about halfway through my bachelor's degree, is it doesn't really matter what school I'm at. I mean, the teachers are all going to be, good. But what I'm going to get out of it is going to be up to me. So if I really want to get a lot out of this class, how can I do that? Well, I can ask questions, which is not my style as a student. I can really dig into the assignments, which hopefully are really geared at teaching you something. But that's where you put your effort. That's where you're going to get your return. So if you're the kind of student that's shy and quiet, you want to show up to class, you don't really want to participate because you're afraid of being wrong, I get that. I understand that. That was me. But I also learned in those classes where the teacher forced me to talk, I got the most out of it. And I really feel like I got into my own when I had to teach it. When you have to start explaining something that you're learning, you're not going to be perfect, but that's when you really have to start asking yourself, man, what am I even talking about? When my first year teaching English, I was just so stressed out because I was afraid there's going to be a student who would ask a question and I wouldn't know what the answer would be. And that happened. That still happens sometimes. But 10 years later, I am so much more prepared because I put myself out there. I got the ball started. And not that everyone out here is going to become an English teacher, but when you start talking, when you start explaining things, that's really when I think for many of you it might start to click. So hopefully. All right, so my English 100 class that I teach, I have 3-ish essays that I assign. Maybe you're going to do something similar. Maybe you have a similar class. I don't know. The whole concept is it focuses on writing essays. So you have to look at multiple sides of an issue. Maybe you have to be persuasive. Maybe you just have to learn how to apply rhetoric, how to think about what an author is trying to do, whether they're effective, the strategies they're using, things like that. That's a really important part of English 101. Just anywhere across the states and I assume in other universities throughout the world. So where the mentality from the course design when I first started teaching it was you start with things where students get to write about themselves, their experience, and then slowly work away to where you're just talking about exterior, documents, and you're not using phrases like I feel, I think, I believe. You're not saying we, you're not saying you. So you're taking away the first person and the second person out of the paper, and you're just speaking in the third person. You're just talking about the text. You're just talking about what another author has said. That's ultimately where academic writing goes. And that's a really hard concept for a lot of students to get, is how not to talk about themselves. Because that's the easiest place to start. That's what you know. That's what we know as people. And there's types of writing where it's appropriate. But eventually, the further you get into academic writing and research, you're not talking about you. Even if you're talking about an experiment you conducted, you're not saying, I did this, I did that. You're saying this author, this researcher. You're still speaking in the third person. When I wrote my dissertation, that's what I had to do. I had to, speak in the third person. I was the one doing it, but I didn't get to say I had to say this researcher, this author. And then I talk about whatever it is that I did. So with my English 101 class, I like to start with the self, but the faster I can get students talking about exterior ideas, the sooner we're really thinking rhetorically, and the sooner we are getting closer to the kind of writing they need to be ready to do in other classes, even if they're not English classes, but we're all your other writing that you're going to have to do throughout college. Okay? So my first assignment's probably something like a reader response. You get the opportunity to talk about how you respond to something that you've read, because it's trying to introduce this concept of analysis, right? You read something, maybe it was assigned by your teacher, maybe you got to choose it, and then you are analyzing it. You're breaking it down for how well it works. What did they talk about? Can you write about that objectively without really putting your opinion in? Can you really explain things with an original insight? When you do that, that's when you really start to step past just really okay writing to adding something to the world. Because ultimately, that's what academic writing is trying to do. You're not just trying to repeat ideas that are already out there. You're adding to the conversation. And every paper, every article, every book in academia, it's a conversation that we have with each other. That's what I mean by responding and having that conversation. So I start with that, and then I start moving away to other forms of analysis, specifically like a critical analysis paper, where I assign something from the textbook that my students need to read and respond to, and I don't want them talking about themselves. Don't tell me what you think, you feel, you believe. Don't say you, don't say we, don't say us. Just talk about the text, respond to it. And this is really hard transition for students to make, but when you can do that, you're just talking about the ideas. Now, part of the hard part is explaining that this is what you think. But the way we do it is we simply state things as fact, and then we justify that explanation. We don't just say, well, so this author was trying to do this. We qualify statements so we don't make logical fallacies by going too far. So you qualify a statement in this text, so-and-so, uses this perspective to talk about such and such. I know I'm not adding specifics. I'm just using very general terms. Whatever point it is you're trying to make, even if it's just your opinion and maybe no one else in the world agrees with it, that's fine. You're going to justify it and back it up, and that's okay. Because that's what we do in academic writing, especially in the humanities, especially in English classes. It's what we do. And in critical analysis, you are going to be digging deep into rhetorical strategies. What's the author trying to do? Is he effective at doing it? You just dig deep and you go into it. And don't worry about whether your audience agrees with you or not. Because here is the kind of the psychology and the structure of what's happening. You're going to make a statement early on, your thesis for the point you're trying to make. That is you making a promise to your reader. Then you're going to justify that. By making a promise, you answer the hypothetical question that every reader has, which is, so what? Why should I care? What's in it for me? You've made a promise, which puts them into the position of having to evaluate, are you keeping that promise? So they have a job now. They have to keep you honest. They have to see if what you're saying is true, if it's accurate. So by explaining your point, by backing it up with examples from the text, maybe an outside source or 2 or 7 or 12 or whatever, you just back it up, and when you're done, you restate your case and you're out. If people agree with it, great. If they don't, that's fine. You did everything you could within reason to try and back it up. That's why we don't have to worry about saying I think, I feel, I believe, because that's implied. It's implied that there's more than one possible interpretation of that text you're writing about, that thing you're analyzing. So then I get to the capstone, which is the big essay, and it's usually pretty similar to that critical analysis, only it's more thematic. Instead of responding to one essay, they have to find the essays by choosing a topic. That topic could be a hot button issue like gun control or abortion or gay marriage or civil rights or something like that, something that's going to have different viewpoints. And then they have to make a case and use different sources to back it up using the same strategies they learned earlier in the semester. So they started by talking about how they responded to something, and then by the end of the semester, they're just responding to something without talking about themselves. That's kind of the structure I like to do in my English 101 first level Comp 1 kind of class. The further they go into classes, the more we're just responding to texts and research and ideas, which is really what college English is all about. that make sense? I hope that's helpful. So that's kind of the mentality that I have. I can't speak for your teachers, what they're trying to do. But now, understanding what the teacher's trying to do, you as a student, what can you do about it? Well, most teachers that I know, if a student has a problem, a student has a question, they want to know it. If you have a problem, the teacher wants to know, especially like in a community college environment where the classes are smaller and it's a lot easier to interact with the teacher. You aren't in a huge lecture hall with a bunch of TAs you're supposed to talk to instead of the teacher. It's just easier when you're in a smaller classroom than, a huge hall with hundreds of people taking the same class. That being said, if there's an issue, I want to know about it. I want to be able to address that question because as much as I like hearing my own voice, I would much rather know that I'm answering someone's question and I'm being useful to that person. So I know students are really leery of asking questions in class and exposing that they're not perfect. But here's the thing. No one expects you to be perfect when you take a class. Because then why are you taking the class? Except to get a grade. There's nothing in it for you except to be done with it. And it's a complete waste of time. No matter who you are, no matter what your skill set is, you have room for improvement, myself included. So, ask your teachers questions. If there's a problem, let them know. Don't be afraid. And if your teacher doesn't care, I am sorry. I'm sorry that they don't. But you're paying them to help you out. So, I think it's okay. It's okay to ask the questions. So if you're getting ready to start classes soon, I wish you good luck. It's going to be a great year for me here. I hope it's a great year for you wherever you are. If you have a topic you'd like for me to talk about in a video, please let me know in the forum below. I'd be glad to answer your questions. That's me making sure that I'm being useful to you. We've got about 80 videos now. So if you thought this was great, I really appreciate that. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, share it with people that you think this or any other video would be helpful for. But dig into the videos that are available, and maybe there's a topic out there that really can help you out. So I hope so. I've made big long lists of things that I think that information needs to get out there, and I'm getting to the point where I feel like, man, I really do have a lot of questions answered the further we get. Like I said, about 80 videos. And hopefully in this coming year we can, I don't know, put out another 50, 60, 70 videos and really just make this a useful library of content. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to the end, man, thank you. But I want to hear what you have to say. If you have questions, let me know. And maybe you could do this again sometime. So, thank you for watching. Dr. Jacob Larson. This is Read, Write, and Cite. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.